The Mediterranean trembles. Across its vast blue expanse, a shadow gathers. Hundreds of ships, sails dark against the horizon, bearing the crescent standard of Suleiman's Ottoman Empire. An armada of 180 to 200 vessels, carrying 25,000 to 48,000 men. An unstoppable tide, set to crash against one tiny island, Malta. This was the invasion. They called it the Impossible Siege. You stood on its walls, your Grandmaster Jean de Valette, 70 years old, a veteran. His will was iron. He knew what was coming. The Knights Hospitaller had prepared. Every crop harvested, every well poisoned in the enemy's path. A scorched earth policy for a scorched earth war. On May 18, 1565, the first Ottoman galleys anchored at Marsislak Bay. Mustafa Pasha, land commander, Piali Pasha, the admiral, surveyed their prize. Their target, the strategic peninsulas of Birgu and Sanglia, guarded by Fort St. Angelo and Fort St. Michael. But first, smash Fort St. Elmo, the outpost guarding the harbor entrance. Ottoman engineers predicted it would fall in 3 to 5 days. They were wrong. For 28 days, nearly a full month, Fort St. Elmo became a crucible. Wave after wave of elite janissaries crashed against its crumbling walls. Day and night, the bombardment was relentless. Inside, 1,500 defenders, knights, Maltese militia, Spanish soldiers, fought with a desperate fury. They knew they were buying time, and they bought it with blood. Amidst the inferno, the legendary Corsair admiral, Turgut Reis, Dragut, a critical Ottoman commander, was mortally wounded, struck down by stone splinters, an unexpected, devastating loss for the invaders. When St. Elmo finally fell on June 23rd, almost all its defenders perished, but they had bled the Ottomans white, costing them an estimated 6,000 to 8,000 men and precious weeks. The main assault began, Birgu and Sanglia, now the front line. The Ottoman navy anchored in Marsislak harbor, cannons turned inland. The siege warfare escalated, unprecedented ferocity. An estimated 130,000 cannonballs rained down, the most sustained bombardment in history up to that point. The Grand Harbor became a stage for horror.
Ottoman forces launched massive land and sea assaults. They even attempted to float ships over the Sanglia Peninsula on greased logs. The fighting was hand-to-hand, brutal, often fought within the very breaches of the walls. Psychological warfare was waged. The Ottomans sent mutilated night bodies tied to crude crucifixes, drifting across the harbor. De Valette responded with a gruesome display of Ottoman sheds on the ramparts. The desperation grew. By mid-August, defenders, initially 6,000 to 9,000 strong, were critically depleted. A third of the knights, a third of Malta's civilian population, gone. Morale plummeted. Council members whispered of surrender, of retreating to Fort St. Angelo alone. But Valette, 70 years old, stood firm, unyielding. "We will fight to the last man," he declared. "Bury ourselves under the ruins of our fortifications." His resolve stiffened every remaining backbone. Then, September 7th, 1565, hope arrived. A long-awaited relief force from Sicily, the Grand Secorso, appeared on the horizon. Exhausted, demoralized, misjudging the Grand Secorso's true strength, Mustafa Pasha ordered a hasty Ottoman retreat. A final, ill-advised skirmish brought further Ottoman losses. By September 8th, exactly 4 months after they arrived, the once invincible Ottoman navy sailed away, defeated. The Great Siege was over, a victory bought with extraordinary sacrifice. It shattered the aura of Ottoman invincibility in the Western Mediterranean, forever altering European history. The Ottomans suffered an estimated 25,000 to 35,000 casualties. Malta, a tiny rock, had stopped an empire. You endured. You prevailed. On that scarred ground, a new city rose, named after the Grandmaster who refused to yield, Valletta.